crypto puzzle which has to be solved. So it needs a lot of computing power. And once the miner or the bunch of miners who are able to solve that problem, that equation or the mathematical puzzle, then that particular miner or a bunch of miners will get reward as bitcoins. So what happens is the Bitcoin network works on a reward basis. So any miner who validates the transaction will get reward of bitcoins, and right now there is a reward of 12.5 bitcoins per block. Okay, so anyone who solves one block, and once that is solved, the whole network will validate that transaction, and the miner who comes to the conclusion or solves the problem first will get the reward of bitcoins or 12.5 bitcoins for that particular block. And once that block is solved and validated, that block goes and attaches itself to the previous chain of blocks which are already solved, which will also contain so many transactions. So that block will be attached to the previous block which is coming in the network or the chain, and that is why it is called blockchain. They are attached themselves in a chain manner, so that's why it is called blockchain. And blockchain, I believe the audio is good, right? Hello, can anyone respond by text? Okay, thank you Parimal. Yes, Vishwa, thank you Alex. Okay, so I believe I was explaining how. Okay, Pawan is asking me to repeat again about blockchain. Okay, so blockchain is like this transaction, like this John to Alex, and this is taking from this 100 bitcoins, and this is one transaction, and when you combine a bunch of transactions and make it into a block, and that block will have a cryptographic puzzle or mathematical equation which can only be solved by high computational power. And anyone in the world in the Bitcoin network who solves that particular block or that equation will be rewarded with some bitcoins, and that particular number is 12.5 bitcoin in as reward. So 12.5 bitcoins will be awarded to that particular miner or group of miners. So, and that block is taken because that is validated across the network, going and attaching itself to the previous chain of blocks which is called as blockchain, and this is what is blockchain. Okay, so this was a simple Bitcoin transactions. So I'm not taking too many technical terms into it because that really will complicate the process. And there are some really good material on the internet, on YouTube and all. Parimal is asking only once Bitcoin. Yeah, correct, right. So once it is solved, only then it is validated by other miners, and then they are awarded. Whoever solves it is awarded the bitcoins. Okay, Parimal. Okay. So this is a simple Bitcoin transaction, and I believe there is blockchain. Okay. So there is okay. I think. So what I thought I'll explain it in the blockchain again. I just explained it verbally. So as I was talking about, this is how the blockchain network is, and this is how the Bitcoin network is. Now you will say that who will solve the block? So anyone in the world can solve it randomly, and it's a pretty, I would say, open platform. And anyone who has these days, it's very competitive to solve the blockchain or the Bitcoin transactions because you need a lot of computing power. So it's pretty out of reach of common people. So you have to invest crores of rupees to buy the equipment, which it's called Bitcoin mines, which requires hundreds and thousands of computers and the processors. And there are specialized processors these days, high-speed processors, which require a lot of electricity because it runs 24 hours, 365 days. And if you see the most of the mines, Bitcoin mines are in China because the electricity is really cheap there, and the major Bitcoin mines are in China because of the electricity, and even the equipment which is manufactured is mostly in China. So mostly the Bitcoin mines are in China. So there are different pros and cons. So Bitcoin has many advantages and disadvantages like any other currency or money. So the major advantage of Bitcoin is it's actually accessible even by the poorest of the poor. Anyone with a net connection and a smartphone can easily start transaction in Bitcoin, because Bitcoins is really divisible, and if there can be like because Bitcoin and Bitcoins can be sent in very minute quantities. Like you can even send $5 or you can send even $1 through Bitcoin, which is not actually possible through traditional banking channels, because the money will be less and the processing fees will be more. But in Bitcoin networks, since there is no third party, the transaction fees are really less. So transaction fees also goes to the miner who solves the puzzle or who validates the block. Okay, so basically apart from the reward of the bitcoins per block, those are 12.5 bitcoins, some transactions. So if you attach a transaction fee to the Bitcoin, then hello. So there is a transaction fee for that. Okay, so that's a big advantage is the people who are still not have access to the banking system, they also can transact money and send money anywhere across the world through Bitcoin network. So that's a major advantage. And another advantage is privacy. So some people really don't want to have a record of whom they are sending money to and why they are sending money to. But these days, if you see, it is all tracked. So in Bitcoin network, it is very difficult to track. The anonymity factor comes into picture, and what happens is those are really private. So that's a major advantage for people who want to keep their privacy. So these are some of the advantages. Fluctuating, it's very volatile actually. If you see, even only in this year 2019. Okay, Muhammad is saying this voice is not very clear. I believe there is some issue with that. Is it okay now, Mohammed? Okay. So the major disadvantage is the volatility. Volatility is really okay. A major drawback of Bitcoin. And apart from that, not many people are using it right now also. So not many companies, it's not as popular as like any other payment system like what do you call it, Google Pay or any other PayPal, something like that. So people still are a little skeptical about using Bitcoin. The pros and cons. Now let's have a look on what are the implications of Bitcoin on the global economy. So first of all, as I mentioned, banking is like Bitcoin gives a chance to bring almost all the people in the world to under the banking network. So no matter how poor they are, they with just a smartphone and internet connection, they can start transacting in Bitcoins. And as I said, it's very fast because sending money through traditional banks is little clumsy, because not if you want to send somewhere to Africa or something, then it becomes really difficult to send money, and even the transaction fees is very high. So here it's very fast, it's almost instantaneous. It takes ideally, theoretically, it takes around 10 minutes, but roughly it takes around mostly 1 hour or so to send money across the world. So it's instantaneous and the transaction fee is really low, irrespective of the amount or the number of Bitcoins that are being sent. And banks and financial intermediaries. Now, what we can say is it has two sides. So banks and financial intermediaries, banks and financial intermediaries are also studying Bitcoin. In fact, the Federal Reserve, the central bank of the US, is also showing some interest in Bitcoin, and they are also studying Bitcoin and have asked other central banks to have a look on Bitcoin and what are the implications